Okay, here we go, right. Hello, welcome to the stream, I think. Oh wait, maybe not. Okay, I think we're going now. Hi! Actually, let me just go into this mode so you can just see my beautiful, beautiful face. That's sarcasm, if you couldn't already tell. Welcome to another one of these streams. I'm going to be streaming a lot more over coming days, mainly because not much happening, so I thought it's a good opportunity, I guess, to go over some tier lists. Today we're going over companions from obviously series 1 to series 13, so the revival companions, New Who. I might, if this stream does well and you guys enjoy it, I'll do a classic companion maybe ranking or something like that. But obviously I haven't seen all of classic Doctor Who, so obviously I kind of want to see a bit more of classic Doctor Who before doing that one. I want to make sure I have a nice nuanced opinion on all of them, basically, or as many of them as the polls, not the polls, the tier lists allow. Hello to Jason Peace, Jean-Luc Harry. I don't know how the turnout's going to be for this one. Probably not as much as the last one because I'm doing it at a different time and the topic isn't as I guess widespread because it's companions, which is like a little bit less interest than series. But hey, we're here. Should do a finale tier list as well. I found out after the fact that the one I did for the series was actually used for finales, which is why the pictures used were from the finales. But yes, I might do that going forward. That's one that I might do. I also might do ones for each individual New Who Doctor, and maybe Classic Doctor as well. Yeah, I'll just wait for a couple more people to come in. I did share the link, but obviously I've only just gone live. It was all very sudden, so apologies for that. But you know, I just wanted to stream, I guess. So I'm just gonna send the link out to a few more people, get a few more people on board, and we will go on and stream my opinions about things. Alright, here we go. Boop boop. Okay. So hopefully now we'll start seeing some people pop in. And yeah, we'll just get to it, shall we? New Doctor Who companion tier list. Let's go. Let me get to which tab was it? Oh, it's the back. That's annoying. I think I'll just close tabs here. There we go. Okay. Let me get rid of this. Control privacy, accept. Don't know what I just agreed to. They might try and kill me, but we're here with all the New Who companions, plus some weird little oddities that they've added in here. The only one's not on here, actually, is Dan Lewis from Flux. This was made pre-Flux, 2020. But what I'll do through the magic of editing, I might put like a John Bishop on screen where I would put him, but we've got a while before we get to him anyway. Luckily, I think they're mapped out almost chronologically, almost. Some aren't as much, but yeah, just get into it, shall we? Starting off with Rose, the very first companion in 2005. Now, full disclosure here, this is much like the last one. It's not only my personal preference, but it's also just the quality of the character. Both of those things will be taken into account when ranking these individual companions. Obviously, it's just my personal preferences and opinions, so don't take it too seriously. But yeah, this is this. Okay, so with Rose is a well-defined character. Don't get me wrong. Rose, as a character, I know her motivations. You know, I pretty much know how Rose would react in any given situation. She's a very, very well-written character. She very much feels like a real person. Not the most likable in the world, though. She does kind of get a bit grating, particularly in Series 2 for me personally, with the whole sort of smarmy relationship which she has with the 10th Doctor, with the whole romantic side. She's better with Eccleston, in my view. I think that's quite a common opinion these days. So I think for that reason, she ends up squarely in the middle for me. She's going in good, because she's a well-written character, well-realised, not the most likeable. I don't really buy her being an Earth Defender afterwards. I like her ending with the Met Crisis, though. I guess that makes sense. Yeah, and I think her supporting network, her family, is probably arguably, I mean, I guess Donna's family, but they're one of the best New Who like supporting families, I would say. Jackie Tyler and Pete and that sort of thing. Next up, Adam Mitchell. I don't think it'll surprise anyone to say that he's going in bad, and that's not really his fault. It's just he's kind of. It's not really fair to compare him to the others. Obviously, I should point out now as well. This is going off of just the characters. We're not taking the actors as people into account. You know, as we get to some of the more questionable people on this list. But yeah, Adam Mitchell is going in bad because there's nowhere else he can really go. But that's by design. He's by design not meant to be a good companion. He's meant to suck at this, and he's meant to use it for his own gain. And for that, he works. Yeah. Beyond that, though, I don't really have much to say about Adam Mitchell. He's there, and he serves his purpose. But beyond that, there's not much to say. Captain Jack. Now, I am going to be basing this ranking purely upon Doctor Who. So I'm not factoring in Torchwood here. This is just Doctor Who, which is weird because you'd think in that instance that Sarah Jane would be included because she had Modern Who appearances, but no, she's not. If I base it purely on Doctor Who, and as a character as well, to clarify, he goes in. I can't put him in the same place as Rose. I'm putting him in very good. Good character. You know, for what he is, he's a good character. He's well defined. I like his sort of opposition to the Doctor being a bit more of a conventional hero type as opposed to sort of the Doctor's slightly more scholarly, but also sort of trickstery vibe. Captain Jack is much more sort of the typical hero archetype. You know, he's not afraid to use guns and things like that. He's very cool as a character, but obviously, yeah, we're not factoring in Torchwood or anything else here, so based purely on Doctor Who, he goes in very good. I think so far I've done a pretty good job. What do you guys think, chat? Are we thinking good decisions so far? Honestly, Moffat never wrote families very consistently, which made companions feel far less realistic. Yeah, I do kind of agree. It wasn't really a focus for Moffat during his era, which I think is very much evident. It's very much evident during his tenure as opposed to Russell's. Then we go to Mickey Smith, and Mickey Smith goes squarely in okay. Like, the arc that Mickey goes on is believable. It makes sense for that character to go on, like, that journey, you know, where he realizes there's nothing left for him on his Earth, so he goes to live on the parallel Earth, and then obviously all the stuff with the finale happens, and he actually ends up back on the regular Earth, with I mean, him ending up with Martha was always a little bit weird to me. That came out of nowhere, but he does develop as a character. He starts off quite pathetic, really, for lack of a better term, and over time he learns to be a bit more confident in himself, and I think the Doctor ends up respecting him in the end. But obviously he is just kind of an extension of Rose's like circle, so I don't think I can put him above okay, really. Like, yeah. He's again a well-written character, a well-realized character, but in terms of he's not a central character, so you can't really compare him to the others. You can't really compare him to Rose or Captain Jack in this instance. Next up, then we have, I'm going in chronological orders here, so I'm gonna go with well, actually, I guess Astrid Peth is next. Where do I put Astrid Peth? Because I can't put her in bad, because she's not bad. But at the same time, it feels weird her being on the same level as Mickey Smith. But I can't put her in bad, so I guess she has to go in okay. She's a one-off companion. She's fine. Again, I don't really have much to say, though. I like that she sort of is in a position where she's in a very, like, a job that doesn't treat her very well. She's not seen much of the world, and how excited she is by the prospect of, like, just a street, something that we, like, as people would take for granted. She finds that beautiful, and that's really nice. But yeah, not much else to say beyond that. She's a nice, solid one-off companion. Kylie Minogue does a decent job, but there's not much else to say, really. Then we move on to Martha Jones. Now, Martha Jones, I am putting up here in very good. The thing that weighs Martha Jones down is the whole I'm in love with the Doctor thing. That, unfortunately, does cast a bit of a shadow over her era, and the constant comparisons to Rose do, unfortunately, cast a bit of a shadow over her. But her as a character is a step up from Rose in nearly every sense. In my view, she has, skills that are useful in situations. She's a doctor, which means she actually, can sort of understand what's going on. There's that brilliant scene in Human H Family of Blood where she's listing all of the bones in like the hand to whatever her name was. The Doctor's love interest in that episode. Was it Redgrave? I'm not sure. But yeah, she's very, very good. I would say a step up above Martha Jones. She would get excellent, but unfortunately her like I said, her sort of romance subplot does detract her a little bit, and I would say her family, to me, isn't as well defined as Rose's was, so for those reasons, she goes in very good, but she's still, I would say, actually, if I just put her here, I would put her above Captain Jack if we're talking specifically just Doctor Who, but yeah, she's still very, very good. I think Donna would be next, right? Okay, so we'll do Donna, and I don't think I'm going to surprise anyone with that. Excellent companion. They cut out the whole romance subplot, which, in my view, held Martha back a little bit. She has great rapport with Tennant, probably the best in his era. Her exit is heartbreaking. I mean, to be fair, all of the RTD companions, the main ones, in my opinion, get pretty solid exits for their characters. Obviously, there's some I prefer over others. I would say for me, Donna's is the strong, like, it hits the hardest, but I like Martha's as well, how she just decides, you know what, I'm not taking any of your BS anymore, Doctor, I'm out. With Donna's, it's obviously very tragic, because she evolves so much as a character, across Series 4, and when her memories are erased, basically bringing her back to where she was, you really see that, and I think that ending only really works because of how much we know Donna has grown. You couldn't do an ending like that, respectfully, with someone like Ryan, because he hasn't changed enough. If you erased all of his memories of his trips in the TARDIS, okay, his life might be marginally different, but him as a person is going to be relatively similar to how he was. Whereas with Donna, there's so much change that happens over just that one series that it is heartbreaking. But yeah, she's just Donna Noble, perfect New Who companion. Hasn't been topped, in my opinion. I always find her entertaining. I always find her rapport with Tennant, really solid. I think she does that thing as well, which I appreciate, where in Doctor Who, they actually let a comedy actor be comedic. It's really weird to me, especially this is, again, a Chibnall era trope thing, where they'll get actors like Stephen Fry, or Lenny Henry, or the guy from In-Betweeners, I can't think of his name, the one in Orphan 55, James Buckley, and they'll just sort of not let them say anything comedic, and it's like, okay. But with Donna, with Catherine Tate, they allow her to show off some of her comedic chops, whilst also allowing her to be a fully, three-dimensional person. She's not just like Dan Lewis, where he's kind of just a joke machine, which can be enjoyable in itself, but she feels like an actual person. You really buy with, her relationship with her mother and with Wilf. Her mother in particular, I love that she just really doesn't think that much of her. You could tell that gets to Donna, and I find that, very relatable, because I think a lot of people, when they grow up, they wonder, am I good enough, and stuff like that, and I think that's a very relatable thing, even now. Yeah, everything about Donna is just perfect. I could talk about this character all day, just 10 out of 10. Perfect. Same goes for her grandfather. Now, this might annoy some people because I did say, he's only had a couple episodes. But man, Bernard Cribbins, how could you not? And he's just so likeable in the brief moments you see him. And again, he has that thing where he's allowed to be comedic, but also a real person. Like, he feels like someone you'd know in your everyday life. Someone who, you know, likes to look up at the stars and, you know, goes on old folks trips in a bus and just things like that. There's just little things, little flourishes that just make Wilf such a intensely likable, but also human character. Like, and I know that sounds weird because they're all humans, but Wilf in particular, he just feels so real, you know, and like when he gets emotional, you just buy it. And like, I love his little father-son dynamic with the Doctor. I think that's really, really sweet, actually. Yeah, the Nobles are just top tier New Who companions. And I think that leads us on to, I think, Jackson Lake, right? Okay, so full disclosure, actually, let's just see what the chat is saying. Let's see what the chat is saying. How are we looking so far, ranking-wise? We looking good? You guys happy with my choices so far? No, Martha in Series 4 is excellent. She is, she's not in it very much, though. I agree with Donna. I've watched all of Modern Who, except Series 4 because of Donna. Now, Donna's great, man. I mean, fair enough if you don't vibe with Donna Noble, but for me, Donna is perfect. Gramps is the best. True, he is. He's great. Astrid would have been such a good companion for a couple episodes. It would have been so good for a non-Earth companion. Yeah, I wouldn't have minded it. It's just Kylie Minogue's too big, I think, like for her to be a regular mainstay companion in the same way. One main thing I'm looking forward to in RTD2 is actually characterization for the companions. Absolutely agree. It's one of my main bugbears with Chibnall Doctor Who is just the lack of characterization. Yeah. Yes, okay, so moving on then, Jackson Lake. So full disclosure, next Doctor, as some of you may know, my first Doctor Who story. Fun fact. And I do have a bit of a nostalgic bias towards him because of that. But for the majority of the runtime, he's not even playing a companion as such. He's playing the Doctor until he remembers he's not the Doctor. So I think, I can't call him bad because I enjoy his presence, but to call him, like, you know, to put him up with these guys, I think just wouldn't feel right. So he goes squarely in the okay camp, I think. Yeah, I really enjoy Jackson Lake as a character. I think it's quite tragic, but when he finds his son, it's quite nice. I do think that he should have been the one to save his son, though, not the Doctor. I think that would have fit the themes of the story far better to show that he was still a heroic man, even without being in the persona of the Doctor. But David Morrissey gives a great performance. Can't really fault it, but yeah, you know, can't really put it on the same level as any of those, really. Yeah, that's all I have to say about Jackson Lake. It's weird how he's included, but someone like I guess Angie and Artie and what's the one from Series 8 called Courtney Woods? She's not included, so that's interesting. River Song. This is tough because, okay, River I like as a character. Like, the concept of River is really cool. I do think that each time she returns, though, she gets a little bit more flanderized and a little bit more irritating. And I do think that she does kind of suffer, not to the same degree, but similar degree, to what Clara had in Series 7, where the mystery kind of, oh, actually, no, I missed, sorry, I have not, we're not getting there yet. We've got some of the RTD ones and some of the Moffat ones to go first. So hold that thought. First, we're going to do Lady Christina D'Souza. Again, I can't call her bad, but it's just, she's fine. Like, she's there. She has a bus that goes ding. I don't know what else. I quite like that she's a thief. And there's kind of a nice parallel there because the Doctor is kind of a thief as well. Quite like that she's morally grey, but like, I think, I don't know whether part of her likability feels manufactured. It almost feels like they're trying too hard. But I think I'd feel bad. No, I think she just goes in okay. Like, I don't think I could call her bad. Like, again, Adam Mitchell is designed to be a bad companion. I don't think I could put... Maybe I actually... I think she's fine. She's just there. She's okay. Like, she doesn't annoy me that much. But again, with all these, like, one-shot companions, it's hard to really rank them any higher than that. Yeah. Okay. Not Astrid. What's her name? The one from Waters of Mars. Adelaide Brooke. She's breaking the trend of one episode companions, and I'm gonna put her in good or very good. Thing is, I think very good should be reserved for like characters that I have like that emotional attachment to. I didn't really have that as much with Adelaide Brooke, obviously, because she was in one episode, but for the impression she leaves, she is good. You know, she is a great performance. You know, the story of her is great, and how she knows. It's quite interesting because she kind of knows that the Doctor is out of time, more so than like most other characters ever would, and she knows she is far enough and advanced enough to have that moral debate with the Doctor when he goes full on Time Lord victorious. She's very well utilised in the story that she's in. I can't imagine her existing outside of that story though. So for that reason, she goes in good. Yeah, I like her whole subplot with her family. I like that to correct the timeline, she makes the terrible decision to take her own life. She is a great character, but again, can't imagine her existing outside of Waters of Mars, so yeah, good. She goes above things like Astrid Peth or Jackson Lake or I can't even remember her name, Lady D'Souza, whatever her name is, because of how well she is realised and how well she's written, but again, I can't really put a one series companion on the same level as Donna or Martha, really, so yeah, good. I think that gets us through all RTD era stuff. As you can sort of see, pretty solid. You know, the only ones that really go in okay or bad are either like the ones that are just either one episode ones or just like ones that are meant or designed to be bad people. So I think that's a pretty good going, to be honest. It's going to get a bit more bumpy as we move into the Moffat era, I think. But who's first chronologically? It's Amy, I assume. And now, I'm actually I'm gonna feel the field a little bit. How are we all feeling about You're the Best? Thank you very much. I appreciate that. If Yaz isn't in Bad We Riot, oh well, you'll have to wait. You have to wait and see. Yaz is really compelling like it. Come on, RTD, put her above Rose. Ooh, okay, so let's move on then. Join our pond called Amy is Bad. I like Amy. This is going to divide the chat. I can already tell there are going to be people who are going to hate me for this, and there are going to be people who love me for this. I did it. I'm sorry, I'm a biased Matt Smith era fanboy. This was the era I grew up with. You know, the TARDIS team I grew up with. Doctor, Amy, Rory. And a lot of people write off Amy because, you know, she was, like, you know, bad to Rory in Series 5 and she tried to cheat on the Doctor and stuff. But the difference with Amy compared to someone like Rose, with Rose, her sort of toxic behaviour never really gets called out by the Doctor, and if anything, the Doctor kind of encourages it, where she just kind of expects Mickey to keep a place for her when she's just off gallivanting in the universe, and like when Mickey calls her out, she sees him as being unreasonable. Whereas with Amy, the Doctor goes, no, this isn't what you really want, you're just infatuated. And she learns that Rory is the right person for her. And no, I'm not going to say that she's a perfect, like, person, but I think that's why I like Amy as a character. She isn't perfect. She even says in her first episode she had to go to therapy over the Doctor, like, as a kid. She had to go to therapy because, you know, she kept telling them that he was real. They basically convinced her that she was mental for thinking that this time-traveling alien was real. when he was, and it's the whole thing of her being a kid. I think when you look at it from that angle, and you look at it of like she's had an obsession with this guy since she was a kid, it makes a lot of her actions in Series 5 to me a lot more understandable than arguably Rose's were, in my personal opinion. Basically what I'm trying to say, Amy to me is the 2.0 of Rose. She kind of learns, actually no, this isn't right, and I shouldn't just, expect people to wait around for me or just dismiss people because these aliens come into my life. I should actually, decide what I want, and that's a big part of Series 5. And then as she evolves, I think she's just a very likable presence, especially with Rory, and I think that whole dynamic is really, really fun. And a lot of people say, oh, obviously she slaps Rory and stuff, and I'm not condoning that, but if you look at Donna, she kind of does the same thing to the Doctor a few times, and, like, she gets put in top tier still. So, for me, if you're gonna say that Donna can go in top tier despite that, then I see no reason why Amy can't if, my opinion sees that she is. And in my opinion, she is. I know that's going to annoy some people. Sorry. She is, in my opinion. Yeah. What's everyone thinking of that in the chat? Is everyone on my side? Just because they're my favourite. Why is Missy not a companion? I guess because, like, that whole dynamic is complicated. But, Amy's character development, exactly. Ginger companions are popular. Yeah, I've just noticed that. Both of my top tiers, well, the top tiers of Ginger. You disappointed me. I'm sorry. I can't help it. Clara is more of a plot device than a person in Series 7. Yeah, I kind of agree. Amy and Donna are my favourite, even slapping etc. was unnecessary. Yeah, the thing is, like, as I said, people put Donna in the top, and she does that as well, so it's like, you can't really condemn one and not condemn the other. It's a weird, I find that weird, and, people say, oh, well, she tried to hit all the Doctor. It's like, well, yeah, but she learns that was wrong pretty quickly. And, I think there's something, I think for some people, what makes a good character is them not being flawed as characters, and personally, I don't think that's very fair. Obviously, certain flaws for me are gonna detract from certain characters. Like, as I said, I do find Rose to be quite irritating in Series 2. I don't have that with Amy, though. I think her thought process is a lot more understandable, and I think it doesn't get in the way as much of her stories as much as it did with Ten and Rose, for me. So that's why she's going in excellent. But yeah, I think it's fine that she's a flawed character. I don't really think she should be knocked down for that. Rory, now here's the thing. Rory with Amy, top tier team with 11. On his own, can't really put him on the same level as Martha or Jack, so he's probably going to go in good. That might annoy some people as well. I don't know. But for me, you can't really put, like, Rory on the same level as either of those two. And he is kind of, in the same way that Mickey was to some degree, an extension of Amy. Like, not entirely. He is his own person as well. And I do like how he's kind of the Harry Sullivan of the group, if you want a classic Who comparison, where he's kind of the one to go, actually, Doctor, you're not that great all of the time. And I quite like that. He's the straight man of the trio. But on his own, that's not particularly interesting. But, I say not particularly interesting. I do find Rory interesting at certain points. But yeah, I think to put him above, like, to put him on the same level as Martha, I just don't think I could do it. So I think good is where he will rest. I guess we do Craig, and then I'll do River. Craig, if it was just based on James Corden, it would go down here, but no, I'm going to put him in okay. Similar to, like, the RTD one-shot companions, and yes, I know he did have 2 stories, but, like, he's just fine. Like, he's a fine character, he's likeable enough, it makes James Corden likeable, I think he's played decently well. I like the baby, Stormageddon, that's all cool. But it's not, he's not a character I'm clamouring for a comeback for. He's just fine. He's a perfectly adequate one-off, stunt cast companion. Not much more than that, in my view. I don't think that's going to be particularly controversial, though. River. Ooh, okay. Now, I think this is where we're going to start getting a little bit... I mean, obviously, I think the Amy placement is controversial amongst some, but... I think this is where we're going to start to get, more controversial when we enter, later Moffat, I think. River, and I know you could technically say that River was introduced in Silence of the Library, Forest of the Dead, but, her main, appearances are in the Moffat era, so I'm putting her, I'm ranking her here with all the Moffat companions. I think, because I love the concept, as I said earlier, I love the concept of River Song. I love the idea of this woman who keeps meeting the Doctor out of order, and it's all sort of a pastiche of Time Traveler's Wife. That stuff's all great. As a character, I do find that she gets a bit more irritating as she goes along, though. So, I'm debating... I think she goes in good. I think I'm decently happy with that. She's not that level. Again, I wouldn't call her... Well, then again, would I put her... No, I don't think I would put her above Rory, because I think I do probably find Rory more likeable than I do River. Maybe I should knock Captain Jack. No, actually I won't. I think I'm happy with that. I think I'm decently happy with that, I think. Yeah, I'm trying to justify it to myself. Don't get me wrong, I do like how her story ends on Thrilling and all that. There's definitely good stuff with River, but I do think she definitely... I don't feel a need for her to come back. A lot of people say, it'd be great if River came back. I personally don't think so. I think her story is done. I think, she died, and that obviously had a big impact on the Doctor, and I think for her to carry on, even though I know it'll be different in the timeline, it would just... I feel like it would cheapen the impact of that. So I think her ending where she did made sense, and I don't really want to see her back. But yeah, good for me is where she lands. Paternoster Gang. Now, I've been watching... I rewatched Deep Breath a couple of weeks ago, as you all know. And I like these guys. But I just can't put them... The thing is, the OK camp is starting to get a little bit crowded, isn't it? Thing is, I can't put them in... could I, though? Because they're not really companion... They are, but, they've never really travelled, and I never really got the chance to get to know them, really. It feels harsh putting them in bad. What do you guys think? Do you think okay or bad for the Paternoster Gang? Because I probably ranked them all as a collective. What are we thinking? We thinking good or bad? How can you live with yourself if this is your companion tier list? I just cry myself to sleep every night. Okay, meh. Add a new tier. Okay, or good. Okay. I literally can't rank. Okay. I think most people are saying okay. I think that's what the general consensus seems to be. Good. I think I'm gonna have to put them in okay. I don't think I can put them in good. I don't think they're on the same level as Rory. I think I'm gonna have to put them in okay. Based on this, I think they're going in okay. I'm gonna rank them all as a collective because that's what they are. They're fun for what they are, but like I say, I don't think I'd want... I never understood the call for a whole spin-off with these guys. Because they're just sort of fine. I don't think they're bad. They're just... They're okay. They get a couple of laughs out of me when they do show up. But I would never want them to be around long term, if that makes sense. And I think, yeah, you can't really put them on the same level as some of these guys. So, okay is where they land. Okay, so who's next? Chronologically, it's Clara, right? Okay. So, full disclosure, Clara's a bit of a weird one for me. I find her likeable in Series 7, although as some people have pointed out in the chat, she kind of, doesn't really have a character in Series 7. She's kind of just a vessel for the Impossible Girl arc. Series 8, I quite like her dynamic with Capaldi. I quite like the whole sort of imbalance of power between the two and how they're both constantly sort of fighting for it. And they both have a go at each other's character flaws. You know, there's that brilliant scene, Deep Breath, in the restaurant where they're both sort of digging into each other. And I quite like that. Series 9, I think she outstayed her welcome. I think for me, Series 8 was the perfect endpoint for her character. I think I like Face the Raven as an exit, but it kind of gets ruined by Hal Ben. And yeah, I think Series 9, she becomes quite unlikable for me. I know what they were going for with the whole she gets addicted to the travelling thing, but because of that, and because she becomes, in a way, a sort of second Doctor, I find it loses some of that relatability that a companion needs. So I'm a bit torn on this one. I think she goes here. I think, possibly. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I think I'm happy with that. What are we thinking, chat? What are we thinking? For me, Clara got annoying towards the end of the time. Go for good. Yeah, that's what I went with. We went with good. I think I'm decently happy with that. What are we all thinking of that? Add Sarah Jane. I don't know how I add people on this. Can I add people? I mean, I guess I could just, like, add them on, like, with an image or something. But I don't know how well that will actually look. I think we can all agree that we all wanted a trip in the TARDIS. True. Move her up. She'd be top if she actually died. Clara is better than Rose, but not as good as Martha. I agree, which is why I can't really put her in... I think good is where I'm going to keep her, I think. Okay. Nardole. This is a difficult one. Because Nardole, for me, kinda... I don't find him quite as likeable or entertaining as some other people do. And we didn't really have that long with him. And he's not really, like, my ideal companion. But I don't know whether I can put him on the same level. Oh, this is really difficult. I don't think I can put him on the same level as Clara, or Rory, or Rose, or River. So I think he's going to have to go in okay, but I think the top end of okay, I think, is where I'm going to put him. He's not bad, but he's fine, you know, he's fine. I keep thinking, do I move down Jack? Because it is only Doctor Who. I think I'm going to keep him there. No, I think that's fair. I think... Unless I put... Actually, I might move... We're having a little bit of change. I'm going to move up Rory Williams to very good. This is showing my early Moffat bias extremely. But, yeah, I put him... Actually... No, I'm keeping him there. So that's my decision. Okay, we're moving on. Bill. Bill's difficult because I don't feel like I ever got attached to Bill. I find her generally like a breath of fresh air in Series 10. Don't think I'd put her as excellent, though. So it's kind of a toss-up between very good and good. I definitely say she's better than Rose and probably Clara. For me... good or very good? Oh, that's tough. That is tough. I'm going to say very good. She's not excellent, but I very much enjoy her presence while she's there. And then again, I like her ending, but is there enough there to constitute a very good? I don't know. I like her dynamic with Capaldi. I like the whole teacher-student vibe, which is very 7th Doctor and Ace. Yeah, no, she's staying in very good. I've decided that's where she's staying. I like the pop culture references. I like her dynamic with the Doctor, as I said. Yeah, I think I'm happy with her in very good. Okay, and then we move on to the Juvenile ones. Now, straight away, I just want to start this off. New addition to bad. I'm sorry to Tozen Cole, and I'm sorry to the character, but I just never connected with Ryan whatsoever. He's just so dull. Like, oh my god. Like, not only is the dialogue dull, but like the way it's delivered, it's just the "oh doctor, what's that?" It's just takes me out every time. I just can't. It doesn't feel like a real person to me, and the part of that is obviously the major part of that is Chibnall's writing, but it's also just the delivery. Like, I like his whole thing with his gran, but I think that affects Graham more profoundly than it ever does Ryan. Ryan feels like, retrospectively, kind of the sort of the side part of that. You know, it affects Graham more so than I say with Ryan, I guess. Although even then, I think part of that's down to Bradley Walsh's performance. But then I think Bradley Walsh's performance alone elevates him above Ryan, definitely. But I don't know whether I'd be able to call him good either. But anyway, he's definitely bad. Like, without a shadow of a doubt, he enters, like, the bad category. He just... I felt nothing towards his exit. Yeah. No, he goes in bad. He goes in bad. This is actually really difficult because I like Graham a considerable amount more, but I think that is just Bradley Walsh. As a character, whilst I do like some of the bits he has in Series 11, he's just kinda... He's funny, but I feel like he has the same... I don't think I can put him in bad. Oh, I think I probably could, though, but, like, maybe, like, the top of bad. I feel like we need a middle that's, like, eh. Could I add a category? It seems a bit late in the day to do that, but... I feel like OK is getting a bit crowded. Actually, no, you know what? I'm torn. I am torn. Like, they're not... Like, he's not like Ryan. Because Ryan, to me, is bottom tier New Who companion. But he's not much better, so I think probably OK. Maybe bad? I think I'm going to put him in OK for now. For now, that is where he sits. Purely because he's more likable, I think. But again, do I just put him in bad? What are you guys thinking? OK or bad? What are we thinking? OK or bad? Move Nardole in good and Graham in OK. Yeah, it feels kind of weird having Nardole and Graham in the same. Yeah, I think you're right, actually. Making a change. Okay. Yeah, I'm happy with that. I think that makes me feel a bit better about this ranking. Yeah, I'm decently happy with this. And then we have Yaz. Yaz kind of by default has the most character out of any of the Chibnall ones now, purely because she's been here the longest. But the problem is, I've said this before, they never like carry on any of the things they introduce. Like, so the police officer thing never gets reintroduced again. It basically doesn't play into proceedings after, like, it's mentioned to us. It's mentioned to us a few times, but beyond that, it really doesn't matter. Her depression has not been brought up again, and I doubt that it will. And the whole Thasmin thing is a very late in the day addition, and I will fight anyone who thinks it was a permanent thing, because it wasn't. She does have that element of sort of it being in love with the Doctor as well, which I never like. To put her on the same level as Ryan, though, and I think Manduk Gill, if I can say it, out of all the Chibnall cast, including the Doctor, I think she probably gives the best performance. But I can't put her on the same level as someone like Clara or River or Rose, really. I just can't. But I don't think I can put her in with Adam Mitchell and Ryan, so I think... Oh... Actually, I might, because I don't find her anywhere near as likable as I do Graham. Oh, that's gonna offend some people. I can already tell. Do I put her in bad? I feel like she's got more going on, but at the same time, if she hadn't in 3 series, that would be kind of concerning. And I mean, it is concerning because she barely had anything even after 3 series. I think this one is difficult. Oh no. Yeah, I'm going to put her in bad. Actually, you know what? I wasn't meant to do that. But I think that's where I'm going to put her. I think that's where I have to put her. What I'm going to do now, I don't know whether I can add to this. I think if I save it, right? If I save it, download it, what I can do is retrospectively add in Dan. So that's what we're going to do. So what I'm going to do, how am I going to do this? If I go to here, create a new tab, hang on, we're doing it a bit jankily here, and if I get a picture of John Bishop, Doctor Who. Okay, let me just make one here, save, boom, done, bam, bish, bosh. Okay, so here's our current list. We got to add in John Bishop through this sort of system. So if we do that, we go to I'm going to add it as an image, add an image. Look, you can tell how professional I am at this whole streaming thing. Look at me go. Browse, quick access. Okay, so here's the thing about Dan. He's likable, but again, there's nothing going on. I'd argue that, like, he has even less going on than Graham under the surface, to be honest. Like, he's probably funnier than Graham, but again, he's kind of just there for comic relief and nothing else, really. Like, there's not much going on. After the first episode where you get introduced, he's a guy with money troubles, and stuff like that. There's not much else going on, so I would say, I think he goes squarely in okay along with Graham. Let me just even that out a bit. Okay, I think I'm happy with that. I think I'm reasonably happy with that tier list. What are we all thinking about that? I'm going to screenshot that, actually. Oh, actually I can't. Someone screenshot that for me, and send it to me via Discord if you can. If you've got me on Discord, just send me a message so I can tweet that out. That's where I'm putting all of the companions, I think. Because, like, I don't think my opinions on the Chibnall ones are going to really change in the two specials, really. Like, I just can't see them changing that much. Beyond this, I'm just trying to make John Bishop's a bit more even with everyone else, because it's bugging me. Okay. That's the tier list, I think. I'm decently happy with that, I think. Yeah, I keep saying I think. I'm pretty sure. I'm going to take it off screen for just a moment. If I just... Yeah, I can't take a screenshot, which is the annoying thing. Hold on. I'll just do it myself. There we go. Hang on. Bam. Like that. If I take a screenshot, then it can be on screen without me having the John Bishop add-on, because that'll look weird. Okay, let me get rid of the image 7. Bye-bye, John Bishop. You don't exist anymore. Okay, so what do we all think of that tier list? Are we all decently happy? I'll put it on screen again for anyone who didn't see it. Belle, Jericho. I don't think I have a lot to say on the Flux ones, though, because they're just so... Oh, we had a super chat from Jerry the Meerkat. Thank you very much. £5 super chat, and it says, I agree with a lot of that. Wilf at top is good. Also, have you not turned your character over to Pertwee? No, I am a terrible person, and I need to do that. Yes, I do need to turn it over to Pertwee. Although I do prefer Troughton in terms of doctors, but that's not the reason. It wasn't because I had a vendetta against him. Make an inverted Dan pick and put him on top. Belle and Jericho are amazing. They're fine. I don't have much to say. Oh, I guess Kate. Belle is from Flux. Should we count the Flux ones? Yeah, you can't really call her a companion. She's been in the TARDIS, but like she's barely interactive. I mean, neither is Dan. Belle's unborn child. Put Kate. I mean, we could do Kate, because Kate is a companion. Because yeah, I guess we could do Kate if you want. Obviously after, if I get my my new John Bishop screenshot that I just made. Hang on. So if we add in John Bishop, I'd probably put her in okay as well, if I'm honest. I think that's where I'd put her. I'm not going to put her in, because you've all sort of seen it. And I don't think I can now that I screenshot it. But she would probably end up in okay, because she is kind of just B-Tech Brigadier, really. Like, she's fine. Wouldn't put her on the same level as Jack or anything like that. She's a fun recurring character, but, like, yeah, okay, I think would be my answer to that. The Flux ones, like, I don't really think I can rank. Rory's dad, I won't put these on there, but I'll just tell you where they would go. He'd probably go in okay along with, like, Graham. Maybe good. I think okay, actually, because he's not really there much. Jericho's probably my favourite Juvenile recurring character. That is fair. I don't know, because he's just there so little. He's a nice guy, but again, sent me a screenshot. Thanks, Radio Blade. Cheers for that. Yeah, I think that's pretty definitive. Like, I'm pretty happy with that. I'm gonna tweet that out, I think. Hang on. You can go follow me on Twitter if you don't already. I'd very much appreciate that. If I just go over to twitter.com/me. It's not actually /me, it's /DariusYT. It would be /me if I was actually a shielder. But, yeah, you can follow me on Twitter @DariusYT. I'm going to post up my new Doctor Who companion ranking, which would be